everyone. Welcome back for another episode of the Live Athletic podcast. This is episode 4, and today I want to answer another common question that I get from a lot of members at the Athletic Way, and that is, what does a day in the life of myself look like? And more specifically, how do I train? What does my training program look like? What am I eating? How am I taking care of all the other things that we usually talk about, like our sleep, our nutrition, our supplementation, all that stuff. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to actually run right through what does a typical day for me look like, kind of like time block by time block. When do I get up? What do I do? Et cetera, et cetera. So here we go. I'm going to try to kind of cover everything relatively quickly, but also try to give you the information necessary to kind of give you some exposure into how do I structure my days, take care of myself, the way that we ask our athletes to do so. Okay, so number one, hey, what time do I wake up? Well, I wake up pretty early, anywhere between usually 4:30 and 5 or 5:30. Now, that depends on the day. So, right now at TAW, we have an awesome coach, Coach Ree. So she's been killing it, been getting after it. So the days that she's coaching in the morning, I'm actually usually up between 5 and 5:30. One of the biggest things we talk about with our members is sleep quality, and sleep quantity. For most of us, we don't get enough sleep. Okay, so I usually try to get on average 7 hours of sleep a night. So if I have the opportunity to sleep in a little bit more, I'm going to try to take that. So on those days that Coach Ree is coaching, I'm going to be getting up between 5 and 5:30. On those days, the first thing I do is actually get up, have a glass of water, and then I go for a quick walk, usually about a 15 to 20 minute walk, just trying to clear my head, kind of take in the scenery, trying to, again, live and be mindful. It's one of those things I've been working on. So a nice morning walk helps with that. On the days that I am not at home, or I'm coaching, if I'm coaching the 6 a.m. session, I'm going to be up at 4:30. And at 4:30, what do? I get up, I eat breakfast, and usually breakfast consists of either overnight oats or a Greek yogurt bowl. So Greek yogurt with berries, protein powder, nuts, all that stuff. If you guys want any of the recipes for any of the meals that I mentioned during this podcast, just shoot me a message, kyle@theathleticway.com. Okay, so if I'm eating breakfast, it's overnight oats, Greek yogurt bowl. If it is a training day, that's when I'm eating breakfast. So if I'm actually training that day, so again, the overnight oats or Greek yogurt bowl. If I'm not training, I'm actually fasting. So if it's a conditioning day or an off day, I'm going to fast until about noontime. Okay, we kind of talked about that on the last podcast, episode 3, about how I'm using fasting and why. So on my conditioning days or my off day, I am fasting. Okay, so going back to if it is a work day, so to speak, if I'm coaching, I'm eating breakfast. I'm doing typically about 30 to 45 minutes worth of work, and then I'm heading into TAW to start coaching at 6. And usually we coach between 6 a.m. and 10 or 11 a.m. Okay, so if I'm home, I'm doing work. I'm creating content for you guys, podcasts, something like this, emails, some additions to the facility that we're looking to do, whether that's programs, sessions, equipment. And then also creative time, meaning that, okay, what is the envisionment for TAW? Where are we going? How can we produce an even better solution for our members? That's what I'm doing when I'm not coaching. Those are kind of the work tasks that I'm going through. And obviously there's deviations off of those. Okay, so I get up at 4:30 on coaching days. I get up at about 5 or 5:30 on non-coaching days. Okay, so with that, and I'm kind of looking down here to make sure that I covered all this stuff. In the morning, I am a coffee lover. I love coffee. I am drinking coffee, usually 1 to 2 cups, and it's actually half and half, so half decaf, half regular. I try not to overload my system with caffeine, and if I'm drinking straight regular coffee and 2 to 3 cups in the morning, 2 or 3 cups in the afternoon, I start to overload on caffeine. Sleep quality goes down, recovery goes down, etc., etc. So Jamie and I actually make half and half, 1 scoop regular, 1 scoop decaf. With that, in the morning, I am taking vitamin D and fish oil supplementation. Okay, that's my supplementation regimen in the morning, vitamin D and fish oil. Okay, and I either coach, like I said, between 6 and 11 a.m. or 6 to 10 or 10, 11, or I'm working from about the same time, 6:30 to about 9:30, 10, and then it's time to train. So we usually train, Jamie and I usually train around 10 to 11 a.m., The kids come in with us, they do their thing, they run around the facility while we're getting after it. Or if we're conditioning, again, it's usually around the same time, right around 10 a.m. or so, and that might be some sprints work, that might be some bag work, that might be just some bodyweight circuits if we're at the house. Okay, pre-training. So before I train, I usually have another cup of coffee. So a lot of guys are into kind of pre-training supplementation. Some of the crazy caffeine stuff, or some of the stuff like you've heard of like the No Explodes or any of these kind of stimulant spiking supplements. So they want to kind of rev you up and get you going. Honestly, I've done a little bit of those in the past. I've never felt great on them. I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack every time. It's just kind of nuts. I get really hot, sweaty, which I already sweat enough that I don't need any help in that department. So I just have a basic cup of coffee, and that gives me enough of the stimulation in order to have a nice quality session. That's for both conditioning and for my training days. Okay, and then from there, what does training look like? So I resistance train 4 times a week. And right now I'm on a 2-day of lower body training and 2-day of upper body training split. So 4 days a week, and my typical days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. On Monday I'm doing upper body. On Wednesday I'm doing lower body. On Thursday on Friday I'm doing upper body. And on Saturday I'm doing lower body. Okay? In between, if it's Tuesday, Thursday, those are my conditioning days. Tuesday, typically, I'm actually coaching the core and conditioning session at TAW, so that's been a lot of fun. A lot of guys are jumping in on that, and it's been great. And then Thursday, typically, I'm at the house before I go in and meet up with Coach Ree for a little chat, our weekly chat. I'm actually doing either some bag work, some sprint work, or maybe even a bodyweight circuit here, usually messing around on the kids' playground or something like that. So that's kind of what does my training program look like. So 4 days of resistance training, 2 days of conditioning, and then Sunday is typically an off day. And an off day for us means, hey, yeah, we're up, we're active, we're going for hikes, we're out with the kids, we're in the pool right now, whatever it might be. That doesn't mean sitting around and binge watching Netflix. Number one, you can't do that when you have 3 kids. Number two, I never feel great when I'm just kind of lying around. Come football season, sure, I'm gonna sit down and watch some of the games, but I'm gonna be doing some other stuff at the same time. Okay. To break that down just a little bit further, because there's a typical question. It's like, hey Kyle, do you train the same way that we program and we train at TAW for our members? And it's like, yeah, hell yeah. It's principles, right? So my program is based on the same principles that we implement with our members at TAW. Okay. That is, I foam roll, I soft tissue, I mobilize, I get after my my main lifts in the beginning, my accessory lifts at the end. Before we get after the lift, we throw in some power work. If I am doing any conditioning or any kind of, quote unquote finisher block, that will be at the end. Okay, my conditioning days, I'm actually partaking within the conditioning on one day at TAW. The other days, I'm trying to work on the conditioning as I outlined in my book, The Ultimate Conditioning and Recovery Guide. So again, the same principles that we try to build and base everything around at TAW, I am utilizing myself. I always like to say there's nothing that anybody's ever done at TAW that I have not yet done myself. And Coach Ree is right there with me now. She's working on everything that we're doing and trying to experience it for herself before we actually give it to any of our members. All right. So then from there, so training session complete around 12 o'clock or so, maybe 12:30. I get home and we have lunch. I have lunch with the family. What does lunch look like? If it's a training day, that lunch is going to consist of protein. So usually some form of animal source protein, so meat. So it could be beef, chicken, pork, it could be fish. Those are kind of our main options. Eggs is another, common one for us. And then I'm going to have some quality carbohydrate with that. So whether that's some rice, some quality pasta. Usually we utilize the stuff that's made from chickpeas. I think it's Bonza. So if we're having pasta, it's going to be kind of like a chickpea or a lentil-based pasta, okay, with the protein. And then we're definitely going to throw some veggie in there. So that's a typical lunch on a training day. On a non-training day, it's going to be a little less carbohydrate. So again, the book that Jamie and I co-authored, and she did most of the writing. I did a little bit more of the just backing up the geeky science stuff in there. But it's all about carb cycling. So on our off days, I don't usually, or conditioning days, I should say, conditioning and off day, we don't eat a ton of carbohydrate at our lunch and or dinner. And I don't eat breakfast now, so I'm not eating a ton of carbohydrate throughout the day. So that's carb cycling. Our carbs are down regulated on those days that we're not having these high intensity outputs. Okay, and it just, again, if you want to read the book, go for it, but it helps with insulin sensitivity, helps with body composition shifts and optimization, all that stuff. So again, on an off day or a conditioning day, it's going to be something like a salad with protein in it. Jamie makes some really good stir fries, and again, for us, our stir fries typically don't have a carb source if we're not training or conditioning that day. If we're not training that day, if we're just conditioning and or recovering that day, it's typically not a carb source in there. Okay. Post-training supplementation. So usually with that lunch meal, and this is on my off day, my conditioning day, and my training day, I'm having a scoop, 5 grams of creatine. Creatine monohydrate. It's the most simple creatine supplement there is. Creatine has a ton of research and data that just shows benefit after benefit after benefit. Really, the only thing that anybody ever brings up about a negative on creatine is how it affects the kidneys. And really, the only research that I've seen that has shown kidney issues are for those people that already have pre-existing kidney issues. So again, take it for what you want, but if you look up the research on creatine, it looks like everybody, their mother, their father, their grandmother, their kids, they could be on it and probably getting some pretty good benefits, not only from a performance, physical performance side, but we're seeing cognitive performances, we're seeing mitochondrial health, all the things that we're looking for a health, fitness, and performance perspective, as well as longevity and living longer and healthier. Okay, so creatine is with my post-training meal, usually lunchtime. From there, my afternoon is just kind of reversed from my morning, meaning that if I'm coaching in the morning, I'm typically not coaching in the afternoon. I'm doing more of the creative work and the programming and the emailing and the content delivery, stuff like that. If I did that in the morning, then I'm coaching in the afternoon. Okay. If I am coaching in the afternoon, what does my meal, so to speak, look like? Right around 5 p.m. or so, and you can ask anybody that trains at 5 p.m. when I'm coaching. I'm going to have a protein shake. So it's just basically almond milk with a scoop of protein powder. We use Levels grass-fed protein powder right now. Okay, protein powder and almond milk, an apple, and then it's about probably a half cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of mixed nuts. Okay, there's a lot of calorie in it, but again, for me, I need that calorie, and it's a very quick and easy thing that I can consume while I'm still coaching. If I'm not coaching, if I'm home, that's when we have dinner. Again, usually dinner, because it's our second meal post-training, or if we're not training that day and we're just conditioning, it's again usually on that kind of lighter side of carbohydrate. So usually some kind of protein-based dinner with veggies. Okay, so that could be some baked chicken with some broccoli. It could be, Jamie just made some chicken marsala the other day, so it's got the mushrooms and the pan sauce there. Something like that, that's again very high protein, relatively low carbohydrate, and if any carbohydrate is coming from the vegetable sources. Okay, so we utilize that carb cycling. From there, either I finish up coaching or we finish up dinner, which is usually kind of the end of my work night as far as if I'm home and I'm eating dinner with the family, usually around 5:30, 6 p.m. That will also signal the end of my quote-unquote work night. We go for a walk. So if I'm home, we go for a walk, or we do some other outdoor activity with the kids, again, being active. If I'm coaching, obviously I'm coaching, and I kind of finish that up around 7:30 and I get home. So either I'm home and I'm going for a walk with the family or doing something outside, or I'm finishing up coaching and then I'm home at around 7:30 or so. And around 7:30, that's when I kind of prepare for the next day. So I make a little list of my top 3 things that I want to accomplish the next day, kind of tie up any loose ends, anything, quick emails or anything like that, to about 8 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, that is when we start getting ready. And we shower, we get the kids ready for bed. And then after that, that's where Jamie's amazing. We all know that Jamie's amazing. She reads the kids anywhere between 2 and 5 books a night. Sometimes I think she enjoys the reading more than the kids actually enjoy listening to it. And I'm like, all right, we got to get going here. And she's like, just one more book, just one more book. But anyway, she's amazing. She's an amazing mother, and the kids love it. While she's reading, I'm usually doing my soft tissue work and some extra mobility work. So I'm usually on the floor, rolling around on the foam roller, doing a little bit of mobility work, specifically for my hips, my quads, and then my adductor, my groin region. Those are the regions that get a little bit gritty for me. So I'm going to do a little extra work at night, especially after kind of a shower, a little bit of a warm shower. The tissues are a little more viscous, so you get a little bit better response from that. So warm shower, then foam roll, and then mobilize. That's kind of my nighttime routine while Jamie's reading. Again, it helps with the recovery and the mobility aspect that I'm always looking for. After that, the kids go to bed. Jamie and I go downstairs. I make coffee for the next day, and if I'm eating breakfast the next day, that's when I make my breakfast. So again, the overnight oats, the Greek yogurt bowl. So I make that so it's prepped, so ready for me in the morning. So it's a non-negotiable. I'm not eating something that's a quick and easy grab. It's because it's already made. It's already prepped the night before. And I make the coffee. The coffee is put on the auto brew, so it pops on at about 4:20 in the morning. It's ready for me at 4:30 when I get up. One of the best things invented ever is the auto brew for coffee. I'm pretty simple, I know, but I love it. After that, I get my nighttime snack together. So here's what the nighttime snack looks like. I usually cook up I think it's about 3 to 4 pounds of mixed vegetable. It's kind of like the Oriental stir fry veggie pack that they have at the stores, the frozen stuff. I put a McCormick spice pack in there, different flavors. My favorite's mesquite. Okay, so I cook that up, and I just have some vegetables. So that's my first thing. I have some vegetables. After that, I have a handful of cereal. So here's my treat for the day, my biggest treat for the day. A handful of cereal. I love the Quaker, what is it called? Quaker Oats, the Quaker Squares, those guys. I like the Kashi warm cinnamon heart to heart. It's kind of like I call it a Cheerio on steroids. And I like shredded wheat. Shredded wheat's probably my favorite, especially the Trader Joe's maple brown sugar, I believe. But I think, unfortunately, Jamie told me that they're not making it anymore. So that was kind of a shot to the heart. But anyway, a handful of cereal, and then I have a glass of almond milk with honey. And I have a little bit of a bite of cereal, sip of milk, a sip of the almond milk, bite of cereal, sip of the almond milk. I've told Jamie that I haven't had a bowl of cereal since I was in college, and she gives me shit all the time because she tells me that I have a deconstructed bowl of cereal every single night for a snack, and she's right. Like usual, she's right. But anyway, that's my treat. And then I follow that up with a pumpkin snack. So that is pureed pumpkin with protein powder, cinnamon, cocoa powder, Wyman's triple berry, banana, and then some flaxseed and coconut, shredded coconut on top. Again, if you guys want recipes, just shoot me that message, kyle@theathleticway.com. I can shoot you these over. So I have the pumpkin snack with a cup of herbal tea and a scoop of peanut butter while we're watching the one episode of a show that we watch during the day. Jamie and I watch one episode of whatever show we're watching. And then after that, I take my zinc and magnesium supplement. So it's a zinc and magnesium supplement that you take. It is super helpful for most systems in the body. If we are deficient in zinc and or magnesium, things don't work very well. It is also awesome for recovery, and it has been shown in some studies to help with sleep status. So again, quantity and quality of sleep have actually gone up. Quantity goes up, obviously, if you go to bed on time. Quality goes up with these supplements. So that's what I take. After we are done with our show, we go upstairs, brush our teeth, blah, 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 get ready. I read for a little bit. So what I try not to do is hop in bed right after we've been on some electronics. So I don't get on my phone while we're watching the TV show for the most part. Okay. Sometimes I'll be there kind of checking a quick message that I forgot about earlier. But after that, I turn my phone on airplane mode. It goes away. So anybody can text me at night. That's fine because I'm not going to get it till the next morning. Okay. Sorry if I text you back at 4:30 in the morning, but if that's the case, turn your phone on airplane mode. Okay. There's a little tip for you. But yeah, we get ready. Phone goes off, and I read. And I typically try to read at night. I try to read fiction. During the day, I'm reading nonfiction. So during that creative time, there's a lot of times that I'll sit down and read for 10, 15, 20 minutes of a nonfiction book, whether it's business development, whether it's training and conditioning, whether it's kind of mental mind work stuff. That's what I'm reading. But at night, I try to read fiction because if I read the other stuff, my mind gets going. Fiction kind of turns it down. It's a story, right? So I read, try to down-regulate, and get ready for bed. We try to be in bed and be racked out, lights out by 10 p.m. so that if I'm up at 4:30, between 4:30 and 5:30 the next day, again, I get on average between the week at least 7 hours of sleep. Okay? And that brings me right back to where I started, getting up at 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning. I hope that helped. I know that was kind of a quick rundown of what I go through. Maybe if you want to listen to it and take some notes on some places during your day that you think maybe you can implement some of the stuff that I utilize that, again, we find useful for, again, kind of the health, fitness, and performance piece, please do so. Please email me, Kyle@theathleticway, if you have any questions about anything. And if you have anything that you think could help me in my day, enhance it, I am definitely all ears. Okay? So if you enjoyed that episode, just send it along to some friends and family that you think can use it as well. That'd be great. And if you have any questions, again, email me, and we can try to answer more questions during the podcast, during emails that go out during the week, anytime. Okay. All right. Look forward to the next episode. See you then.